Hey everybody, it's Becky Raven from Flips and Finds. I wanted to talk to you today about this dresser that I'm working on. It's actually made from particle board, and I had to do a couple things to it to get it to kind of level the surface out because it had some water damage. And the difference between particle board furniture and wood furniture is particle board, if water sits on it or any liquid for any length of time, you're going to get swelling. So you're going to see bumps and lumps on the surface. And when I get a piece like this, I have to figure out what am I going to do to either make it look level or actually try to level it out. And typically the furniture that I receive from clients is in way better condition than what I would purchase at a thrift store. So I usually get artsy with my colors, or mixtures of colors or techniques, sometimes even add more texture when I have pieces like that I've purchased. But this piece today, I thought I'd try something different. This is something I didn't have to go out and buy right now or order right now. I had it on hand and I've never used it. This is called Aqua Coat Cabinet Grain Filler, and I purchased this about a year ago to actually use on some kitchen cabinets that were oak and were really textured, and the client wanted a smoother finish and didn't end up using it for that. So I had a whole bottle here to sit here and try to figure out how can I make this work. And I'm going to unscrew the top for you and try to let you see. It's very white, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the camera, but it looks like spackling, which I use on a lot of my furniture projects that aren't wood or sometimes wood. I'll put spackling in. It seems to work better for me than wood putty. If I need to kind of mold something, I add a little water to it. The good thing about this, it's probably, this bottles or jars about $25, so it is more expensive, but it's very moist, and I didn't have to actually add any water to it, and I was able to manipulate it better. I just scooped 2 fingers in it and ran it across the top and kind of finger painted the top with this and did about 2 or 3 coats. Now the back of this, and of course these directions are for cabinets, said it would dry in about an hour, and that didn't work for me. I had to let it sit overnight. And then this is where the sanding came in this morning, and what I want to talk to you about is your different grits. So I always start with a 220 grit, and it's a very smooth finish like this. It's not very gritty, but you can go all the way to a 60, or I go all the way to a 60 with projects sometimes, and you can tell the difference between the two. And the 220, and again, the higher the number, the less the grit. So if you've never done sanding, you want to start with a higher number. And I recommend 220 for any furniture projects. You can go as high as 800, but there's really no point in that. But I'd start with the 220 and work my way down to something in numbers that if you feel like you keep on needing to do a little bit more and a little bit more. The 220 got the loose paint off this morning, and it did what I was wanting it to do. I purchased this orbital sander probably when I started doing furniture painting about 3-4 years ago. It was only 20 bucks at Walmart, and it still held up to be really well, worked really well for me. And what you do is, this is Velcro. You can buy these sanding discs at Walmart or any of your hardware or Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, have felt on the back, and they just stick on. And you just put it on there. Now, when you've seen me sanding before, I've done a couple videos without talking, you always want to sand in a circular motion once you turn this on. Sometimes I take these off and use them by hand, but they come with a little bag to collect all the dust. It's really worth paying $20 for if you're getting into something like this, or just using it for other things around the house. So that's that. The last thing, as far as sanding, is a sanding block. I like these because they're bendable, and they kind of let you kind of work corners real well. This one's pretty beat up, but these sanding blocks sometimes come with different grits on different sides. So I think this one was one of those, and this was probably one that started around, I think, 185. But I've pretty much wore this thing down now. But it is real good to use on corners because, like I said, it's bendable. So that's really all about sanding. The last thing I'll talk to you about, and you might need to do some sanding if you use this paint. This is a really good paint, Dixie Belle Paint Company. If you're into this type of thing, as far as painting furniture or really painting anything, this is advertised on some sites as a chalk paint, but the bottle actually says a chalk mineral paint. And what that tells me and what it has shown me in the past, because I've used it multiple times, this paint is a lot thinner than true chalk paint. Like I talk about the Waverly chalk paint a lot. I use the paint from Michaels. I usually have to apply a couple extra coats for this. This is a real good paint for a sprayer, but as you know, I don't spray furniture at this time just because I'm housed in my garage. But if you do decide to buy this paint, because you have a lot of color options with this paint that you don't with a lot of the paints that I use, I would say that you might end up having to sand. So don't get disappointed if it's thinner than you thought it might be, because I said a lot of sites advertise it just as chalk paint, but it's actually advertised on the bottle as a chalk mineral paint. And anytime you see mineral, that's going to be thinner than chalk paint itself. So y'all stay tuned and see what I can do with the top of this. And if I forgot to mention, I'm actually going to put Retikit on this next, which is the liquid wood paint I've used before. I've ordered a dark wood paint because we're going for a cherry finish. Again, this is going in a dining room. So I think the Retikit is thick enough to cover what I've got so far, but it's going to require several coats. And then if you recall or have seen my videos with Retikit before, you actually go over it with a stain. So this one's going to take me a while, and I've got several steps, but I wanted to go ahead and tell you about the sanding and the aqua coat and just give you a little bit of information about Dixie Belle if you're going to do your own paint job. Hope y'all have a good day and everybody staying healthy. Thanks. See you later. Bye.